LA barely dodges.
Barely.
Creating NBA history by blowing a 31-point lead. The Mavs end up taking the lead in the fourth quarter, but James Harden driving by Luka, everyone else, no shots contested by Derek Lively or Gafford because they were not on the floor. And the Clippers, without Kawhi again, beat the Dallas Mavericks to tie up the first-round playoff series.
That's the surprising thing. Obviously, they do it without Kawhi, and then the 2 wins are without him, and the 2 losses are with him. From the Clippers' perspective, that's very, very strange. But I think it's pretty evident after 4 games in the 2-2 that their offense just flows better right now without Kawhi. Doesn't mean that he's not better than the guys that are out there, but he ain't in the groove. And when he's up there chucking and he's 0 for 5 or 0 for 7 from 3, it's a hole. It's a hole in your rotation, and those are missed possessions, missed opportunities that they're not getting, they're not having when he's not on the floor. The offense flows better for LA, and they seem to be more difficult to guard somehow.
Well,
he's on the floor.
It puts a responsibility. Harden is going to be way more aggressive because he's not the 3. He is a 1 or a 2 when Kawhi is out. So when you have Kawhi on the floor, James, George, others, maybe they're going to feel like they're a little bit more in the shadows. And Ty Lue told him yesterday, Kawhi's out, you have to score.
You defer.
And he still is a Hall of Fame player. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's an all-time great scorer, and he did it to them yesterday.
You take a step back. You defer to the other guy, and that's what he's been doing when Kawhi's on the floor. But when he's not on the floor, he has to take charge.
It's like Kyrie. I would like them to defer less to Luka, starting with this game and the other games. I would like Kyrie to get going and them to get him going sooner rather than later.
They said this yesterday, and it's like, well, you know what? You don't realize this because they're not in their prime anymore. There are 6 Hall of Famers in this series.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
No, it's got a lot of talent. This whole thing has just come down to when the Clippers are shooting red hot from 3, they're going to win, and when they're not, they are going to lose the ball game. This is something where game 1 and game 4, they made 18 3-pointers in both those games. 18 of 36 in the first, 18 of 29 in the second. In games 2 and 3, which they lost, they made 18 3-pointers combined. They shot 30% from 3 in those games. So it's in the 2 games they've lost, they've shot 30%. In the 2 games they've won, they've shot 55% on high volume shooting of the 3 too. And so it's just, if those threes are going down, the Mavericks are going to have a really tough time beating them.
That was tough though, because like you don't see teams blow a 31-point lead and then start trailing. Not just blow the 31-point lead. You can blow a 31-point lead and get down to like 2 or 3, and then you make a 3, and all of a sudden start trailing.
Yes,
and then come back and win. I mean, that's something that doesn't happen unless you've got a ton of experience. These are old guys on the team. And I could play against you at times, but I thought what Ty Lue said, the timeout they played, where he's like, dude, they went on the run. Just go win the game. That's kind of a calming thing, right? Just
win the
game.
He's like, it doesn't matter that they've come back. If you win the quarter, we win. Just win the quarter. Don't worry about like the breadth of the game. Like, just go ahead and win this. And that's where they came down.
The Paul George corner 3 may be the biggest shot of the series so far.
That was, and I think the other one was the Harden. I mean, obviously the Harden kind of the and one.
Yeah.
That bounced off the rim a couple times.
That put him up 5.
Yeah, that was big.
That put him up 5.
I mean, that is the biggest shot of the series. That felt very demoralizing. I mean, the only other shot within the series that I think stands out was that Luka step back 3 in game 2, was it? Where like it put him up 7 or something in the final minute and a half, and it was like, okay, ball game.
What's up with Luka? What do y'all think on the Franklin Franco injury attorney text line? 877-881-1053. The shooting percentages have plummeted. His scoring is the same as the regular season, 29 a game. The rebounds and the assists are basically the same, 9 to 10, 8 to 8.5. He's shooting a little bit better from the free throw line, but the field goal and 3-point percentage has dropped. Field goal percentage, he's gone from 47% to 38 in the playoffs. 3-point percentage, he's gone from 35 to 26. I know that the broadcast was giving credit to Clippers defense. Terrence Mann holding him, I think, to 4 for 21.
Oh.
At one point in time. Terrence Mann, a fantastic, great role player for them. Is he banged up? Is he exhausted? Is it both? Is he moving slower to you all? What are you seeing in Luka's game? I do want to get this out there. I know it's gonna mess up the rest of my day with the most annoying local sports fans right now are MFFFLs, the ones who just are lunatics. And they went crazy last night because I said Luka looks gassed defensively. What, do you not realize he got 5 fouls? It's obvious you guys don't watch any of the games. Like we recap every Dallas Mavericks game the next morning for 14 years. You just have your head so far up your ass with your blue foam finger or his that you're just incapable. Like, don't even talk. Yeah. Don't even talk to me and tweet me back and forth. Because the media made Luka Doncic a defensive star for one game, the suggestion, go back and watch some of his defensive effort. Now, I'm not saying he's not gassed. They had him on the bench at the very, very end. But let's not sit here and let's not turn him into Bruce Bowen all of a sudden.
I posted like they were close to go up 3-1, and Luka's can't buy a bucket. And they're like, well, quick check of the box scores. He got 29 points tonight. I'm like, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 17 of his last 50. Let's not act like this guy is shooting anywhere near what forget his season or career average, but his playoff average. Like, this is not his first rodeo. He's had tough defense in his face before, and he's performed well in the postseason. Still get those points. It's good, but he's 17 of his last 50. That ain't good.
I want to say this and get it out there on the record because I'm thinking it during these games. This is just thinking out loud, and this is all intangible stuff.
Good at She-Ran song.
He was insufferable to watch yesterday. I don't know how many times I texted you guys. He's so annoying. It's just crying and whining. I'm not talking about every single time. There was a ball that went on to the floor, like that came from the crowd. He even bitched to the ref about that.
The little white ball, the little white foam ball.
There was some ball, and he's like turning to the ref like, I'm like, the referee did not pull a string like a yo-yo and make that come onto the floor. And I just wonder, when you have that type of energy nonstop, because the 2 games when he's been whining and crying was yesterday in game 1, they lost. He was assertive and not as whiny in game 2. I wonder how much of it has an impact. And just when you have that mentality from beginning to end, is there any effect on your performance, on your teammates' performance of, man, like, I just stop crying for a little bit. If he had on any other jersey, we would be treating him like LeBron, like Tim Duncan, like James Harden, because it robs to a degree for me the enjoyment of watching a game like that and watching and experiencing his game.
It was a really good game.
His Hall of Fame legendary game, which he is and which he will be remembered as. It's so annoying.
Yeah, like the referee had to get that ball to the floor. I get it, right? Maybe Lucas saw it because they were already in their offensive set. And now you got a dead ball. Well, I know, but then you got to start over. Maybe
it's not their fault. They have to get a playing object off the floor.
They have to.
You cannot have a foreign object on the floor.
They have to get
crying about that.
Yeah, they have to get up the floor. From his perspective, he's like, "Damn it, we had a good set. Like we may have had something there. Like we had them beat or whatever." And that, from a player standpoint, it can be frustrating. But what's the official going to do?
I'm going to be honest.
He has to get the ball, that thing up the surface.
I'm going to be honest. There was a point in yesterday's game. I had flashes of it where I was wishing he got his second tech and tossed. I was wishing he got that to get all the deserved criticism and hatred that would have come with it that you cost your team. Because there was at least 2 instances where they would have been justified in throwing him out. Because it's nonstop. It's literally every other play. Whenever there's a whistle with him involved, and he flops and acts too. Like he is a soccer player out there. I know that Terrence Mann, I think, grabbed his leg, but like Luka's going to hurt himself with his overacting that he does to sell everything. I'd love to get a referee off the record or one of these player polls, and they're asked, like, who's the biggest complainer and who is the most nauseating to deal with, or who complains the most out there. And it's got to be Doncic. And I thought he had settled this down. He did, I think, towards the end of the regular season. But in games 1 and 3, both losses, man, it doesn't end, Bobby.
Here's the only thing for me with Luka is, first off, I do think he's hurt. Like, he's talked about the knee ever since he hit the knee in game 3, in the first quarter of game 3. That thing was wrapped up yesterday. And McMahon wrote something this morning where he was talking about, look, Luka's having trouble moving laterally. It's limiting him. His knee's stiff. It's causing him issues. And he's frustrated not only, I think, with his play and how things are going and when they're losing golden opportunities like Kawhi's out and you're still losing. But I mean, he said it after the game yesterday. He said, I feel specifically like I'm letting Kyrie down. Like Kyrie's coming through.
Just gotta help him more. I feel like I'm letting him down, so I gotta be there. I gotta help him more. He's given everything that he has, and he's been amazing for us the whole series.
That's true.
He's a bad man.
He is letting
Kyrie's a
him
bad
down.
man.
But like, to me, it's also like, does he whine? Yes. It feels like we move way too easily on going from Luka is the greatest thing that's ever happened to this city to Luka is an insufferable baby. And I know that we like move on that and it has to do with the results usually. But to me, it's like, that's his personality and that's his approach. And to me, it's like when he's succeeding with it, it's usually that same sort of competitiveness and just basically chip on his shoulder behavior that when they lose, it costs them. And to me, it's like, I feel like you got to kind of take the good with the bad with
They're
Luka.
both true. No, I don't.
do.
We do the same thing with Micah. You don't let Micah off the hook.
Because
why are you giving Luka a pass?
Because I think that what you're talking about is like Luka has consistently stepped up, not right now, but Luka has consistently stepped up in big moments where Micah is not.
Okay, well, he's not in this series so far. He's not playing well.
Because he's hurt.
So, okay, well, I don't have any evidence, and I don't have a big-time argument to fight that. When he was defending big time, I think that was in game 2, and then he got banged up in game 3. But you are allowed to have holes and improvements that people can call you on.
Sure.
Okay, like Michael Jordan was the if factor, and people still thought he should pass more. And when you're a teammate and you're watching Luka like just blame every referee and take zero accountability unless it's in the post at a microphone with a fake statement that he's given throughout his entire career, he never fixes it, he never adjusts. Like, that to me is a leadership issue. When Joel Embiid, this is before I found out about his palsy, but Barkley said something correct. When Embiid is in the locker and his head's down, this was earlier in the series, not yesterday. They went back to the studio and Charles goes, his head has to be up and he has to say, we're fine. They won their 2 games at the Garden. But if I see you and the leader head down, depressed, whining, it's your fault, we're getting screwed, that has an effect, in my opinion, down the line. And he's been called on leadership before by some listeners, and I'm like, I don't know. Look what he's dealing with. Look at the rest of the roster. And I think it's more legit when he acts like this.
Kyrie's the leader, though, I think. I think that's the thing, is that Kyrie's the leader. That's where he stepped into the role. Luka's the best player. Luka's not. It's like it's similar to the Kyler Murray question, probably. Where it's like you're incredibly talented, but you're not the leader. And I don't know that it's a necessity for him to be.
If he wore any other colors, Bobby, you would hate his guts.
Absolutely,
you
really would.
You have to be.
Absolutely, I'm not saying that.
You say the quarterback has to be the leader.
How many but that's not an inconsistency. I don't think. I think that's the reality of, like, you have certain players across the league that, like, you hate them when they're on the other team, you like them when they're on yours.
No, I get it.
That is the way it goes.
I do think that, like, find me the Mavs fan that doesn't think that wouldn't prefer the ball in Kyrie's hands in a postseason game right now.
Well, I mean, this series.
Right now
it's
he
easy
seems
to say after 3 games.
Yeah, but right now I would.
I mean, Kyrie has shown, though, throughout his career, he is a big-time clutch playoff performer.
If you're telling me just in a vacuum, like, no context, there is 10 seconds left and I need a guy isolating for a shot, I want Luka taking it.